one thing you find in every zoo, a map. Tells you how to get from the pandas to the bathroom to the crocodiles to the bear. I saw good examples on YouTube of custom maps that people had built for their zoos, but unfortunately all of them used Adobe products, which are super expensive. So I wanted to see what could I come up with GIMP, which is free software. Here's what I got. Not perfect. I already have changes I want to make, but it proves this can be done, and it's really not that fun. Stick around, I'll show you how to do it for free in GIMP. Step 1, go into Planet Zoo, get a bird's eye view of your zoo, and just take a screenshot. That's print screen in PC, Command 4 in Mac. Open up a new project in GIMP. I wanted mine to be square, so I made it 700 pixels by 700 pixels. I'm making a new layer for the paths, and I made sure that the brush hardness was 100%, so I didn't have any fuzzy edges. And I'm just going around and tracing on top of my map where all the paths are with the brush tool. And after I do that, I'm making another new layer. This time for my plaza, I just made the rectangular select tool and drew some boxes, put in the same color as the path for the plaza portions, and then I saw a little piece of path I missed, went back and got that one. And this layer is for the reptiles and the crocodiles. I decided to make that green because, you know, reptiles green. I think later when I go back and redo this, I'm probably going to use like all variations on one color because I don't like all the different like bright colors that I used, but I don't know, you know, it's a matter of personal preference, I suppose. And one thing it was really important to do is make sure everything was on its own layers because, and you're going to see later that ends up being important when I go back and had to change a few things. So right now I'm just outlining, painting over the like North American prairie exhibits in yellow, again, yellow for like, in my mind, like dry grass. And every now and then you can see I turn the screenshot off of the underlying map so I can just see how the map is progressing. If you don't know how to do that, you just click the eyeball next to the layer in GIMP, and that makes that layer invisible, and you can just turn it back on again when you're ready. And here I am making a layer for the flamingos. Of course, I made it pink. I feel like I'm getting predictable at this point. Definitely going to go back and change all these colors, I swear. That little piece of the flamingo habitat was kind of tricky. I had to go over it a couple of times to make sure I got everything. Then the rest of it was pretty easy. I tried filling it in with the bucket tool, but it turned out to be easier just to paint it, to be honest. And then the last thing I went in was I went and did the restaurant, the info, like the information center and the souvenir gift shop, and made those dark gray. And then I was trying to clean up some of my lines, and I think I was semi-successful. Like the lines look pretty clean. I think they could definitely be better. I'll definitely probably go back whenever I revise this and try to clean up, be a little bit just more cautious, I guess, with the lines. But it is hard to do. It's not like I have a pen tool. It's just me and my mouse, you know, so it's however steady your hand can go when you're just using a paint tool. I think GIMP is a pain to work with. I use it because it's free, but like if I were working in Illustrator, this would be so much easier because I could use the pen tool, and I don't know, the pen tool in GIMP is just so hard to use. At least it is for me. I don't know, it's a bit mysterious. And I think the pen tool in Adobe Illustrator for making these sort of irregular shapes would be a lot simpler and a lot cleaner. But since I don't have that, I'm just working with what I got and just using the good old brush tool from GIMP. I don't, I've never used Microsoft Paint, but you could probably accomplish this with Paint. You could probably do it with Canva even. I don't know. I don't use Canva very much. I made the background, instead of white, I wanted it to be just kind of a light gray, and with a little Googling, I figured out how to make a gradient for my legend so that the legend was color-coded with the different habitat areas. So like the reptile part of the legend in that green gradient, the grasslands in yellow, the flamingos in pink, and so on. Speaking of things that are difficult to use in GIMP, the fonts and like the typing tool I find also kind of challenging to use, but I was eventually playing around with some different fonts and decided to go, first I decided, oh, I'll use that one, and I ended up changing this later. I don't know, I think maybe like a little fun, a fun font. I feel like a lot of zoo signs are sort of, they use playful fonts, playful typography. Kind of like they're appealing to kids and families and not necessarily all professional and serious. And I think that's another thing I'll do when I go is have a little bit more fun with the typography here. But I do like the legend just in a nice sans serif font because I think that's easiest if you're a guest and you're looking for something. Like you don't want to be fighting with the font to be able to read it. You just want something kind of simple and plain. So I think for the legend, I'll stick with just a nice clean sans serif. I just used whatever sans serif I could find in GIMP that looked halfway decent to me. But I think I'll be more playful with sort of the main where it says National Zoo Map, and you can see I tried to make it a little bit more playful, but I think I would do something just a little bit more whimsical for the title itself, because I feel like a lot of zoo maps in real life do have a more whimsical style, not quite so serious like this one. So at this point, I'm just, again, kind of fighting with the typing tool. The font tool in GIMP as I try to number everything in my different grooves to then put it in the legend, and then I realized, oh, it's not that it's not working, it's just that it's stuck behind one of the layers, so I had to drag it up on top of the dark gray box for the info center. And then miraculously it worked like it was supposed to. Haha, how about that? And at this point, I'll fast forward a little bit so you don't have to sit here and watch me type out the entire legend. I think you can understand how to do that on your own. And with the legend finished, I'm just adding a little drop shadow to the map title. And with that done, I go to File, I export it as a PNG. Oh, I also saved the original so that I can go back and change it later because I know I'm going to want to change it. And then I'm finally ready to place it in my zoo. I had this map board built that was all ready to go. And then I figured out none of the screens will actually fit the board. Good job. So smart. Maybe next time, figure out which board you're going to use first and then build the sign around it. I don't know. Could have been a smart idea. So I fiddled with it quite a bit, trying to make my existing sign work. And more or less, I just kind of ended up deleting what I already had. Because, well, at first I tried to make it with this really big, like, 4x4 sign. It was just huge. Just, like, overwhelmingly big. And I didn't like it. So I deleted it. I got a 2x2 sign, which I think looks much better. It's much more reasonably sized. And I thought I was gonna fix the board around the sign. That didn't work. So I really just kind of deleted all those pieces. Like delete, 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 nope, delete, delete, and just rebuilt the whole thing from scratch. Yep, like so. I think another thing I'm going to do eventually, because I ended up using the painted beam, and I like the painted beam because you can customize the color, unlike the East Asia timbers, which is what I'm using right now as those legs. I think eventually I'll go back and I'll replace those East Asia timber legs with the painted beam ones so that it can really be all one consistent color. So there you have it. That's how you can make a custom map for your zoo in Planet Zoo using GIMP, which is totally free. You can just download it. Really, I would like to say it's easy to use. I don't think it's that easy to use, but when you're doing something simple like making a map, it's really not that hard. And I think if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. All right, until next time, take care. Bye bye.